You finish a set. It felt good. Or maybe it didn't. But either way, by tomorrow, you won't remember exactly what happened. The details fade. The reps blur together. And somewhere between what you think you did and what actually happened, the truth disappears. Most people think they need more discipline, a better program, or just more motivation to reach their goals. But in the last 6 months of recording every single one of my training sessions, I learned something surprising. The moment you start recording your training, everything changes. Not just your strength, but your mind, your habits, and your confidence. And there is hard science behind every part of it. Let me show you what actually happens to your brain and your body when you press record. And if you're new here, I'm Minato, based in Tokyo. I explore habit formation, training, and system-based personal growth, not as a coach or a scientist, but as someone obsessed with understanding how real, sustainable change works. Now, let's get into it. We tend to think that recording our workouts is just about keeping track or keeping a diary, but psychology calls it something else, self-monitoring, and it's one of the strongest behavior change tools ever studied. Vetrovsky's team studied over 12,000 people and found something shocking. Just by the simple act of tracking their activity, people walked nearly 1,000 more steps per day. Even after the study ended, they kept moving more. Why? Because measurement changes behavior. When you record, you notice. When you notice, you adjust. And when you adjust, you improve. But here's what the research also found. Tracking alone isn't enough. When combined with clear goals and regular feedback, even just reviewing your footage once a week, the effect more than doubles. The combination is what creates real change. Recording is not a diary, it's a steering wheel. I used to believe I knew what my movement looked like. Then I filmed it and realized my hips were rising too early, my bar path was looping, and my pull was soft. This isn't just me. Studies confirm that your brain lies to you. It overestimates your performance accuracy by about 20%. Your body feels like it did one thing, but the camera shows the truth. Research on motor learning found that the strongest learning effect doesn't come from coaching alone. It comes from a combination of expert demonstration and watching your own video. This is called self-modeling. Your brain learns faster when it sees yourself performing the skill, not someone else. And here's something surprising. A 2024 study found that athletes who chose when to watch their feedback improved significantly more than those who were told when to watch. The act of choosing, not just watching, activates deeper learning. You're not passively receiving information. You're actively engaging with your own performance. There's even a technique called feed-forward self-modeling, where you edit your footage to only show your best reps. It sounds like cheating, but it's not. It helps build a mental model of the athlete you're becoming. High-intensity training works because it satisfies 3 core human needs: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Recording amplifies all 3. First, autonomy. You choose what to track, when to review, and what to focus on. That sense of control deepens your engagement with the process. Second, competence. Every recorded personal record destroys self-doubt. There's a concept in sports psychology called data destroys doubt. In a tough session, when your mind tells you you're not improving, your footage becomes proof. It protects you from your own emotions. And third, relatedness. Sharing clips or reviewing them with training partners builds sticky motivation. This social glue is why functional fitness communities have such high retention rates compared to traditional gyms. Recording isn't just a chore, it's the fuel for this engine. Now, here's the part no one talks about. Recording isn't just about technique, it's also therapy. Before I started this habit, I didn't like cameras. I didn't like attention. Many of us worry that if we film ourselves, people will think we're narcissistic influencers trying to get famous. This cringe factor stops us before we even start. But here's the secret. When you treat recording as data collection rather than content creation, that feeling disappears. You're not filming for likes. You're filming for mechanics. And something strange happens when you keep doing it. You stop being afraid. Psychologists call this exposure therapy. Research on expressive writing found that repeatedly confronting uncomfortable experiences, whether through journaling or video, reduces anxiety over time. One meta-analysis showed a 9% reduction in anxiety symptoms from journaling interventions alone. Every time you set up your phone in the gym, your brain adapts to being seen. Confidence grows. Anxiety dissolves. You're not just tracking a lift, you're training your mind to stop hiding. People think habits take 21 days. Science says otherwise. A 2024 systematic review found the real range is anywhere from 4 days to over 300 days. The median is around 2 months, but individual variation is massive. That's why tracking matters. You can't manage what you can't see. So, how do you survive those early months? The data is clear. High frequency in the first 6 weeks is the strongest predictor of long-term consistency. Recording makes this easier because it visualizes your streak. It creates accountability. Tracked habits are 2.5 times more likely to be maintained than untracked ones. And here's another finding worth knowing. Morning practice has about 43% higher success rates than evening routines. If you can, front-load your training, but keep your tracking simple. Binary tracking, asking yourself, did I train today? Yes or no, is more effective during habit formation than complicated metrics. Save the detailed analysis for later. In the beginning, consistency beats complexity. Recording builds habits, and habits build athletes. What actually separates elite athletes from everyone else? Research comparing skill levels found it's not just genetics or talent, it's a cognitive trait called metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. One study of youth soccer players found that almost half of elite players scored high on both reflection and effort. Only 1/5 of non-elite players achieved similar scores. The difference wasn't just physical, it was mental. Recording activates this process. Instead of just exercising, you start asking, what did I do well? Why did it work? What patterns do I see? This is the same reflective process used to train surgeons, pilots, and military specialists. Deliberate review, pattern recognition, continuous adjustment. When you record, you're not just filming reps, you're building a system for continuous improvement. So how do you actually do this without it becoming a burden? Here's how. Don't overcomplicate it. You don't need a cameraman. You just need a cheap magnetic mount or a water bottle to prop up your phone. Don't film everything. You don't need an hour of footage. Just record your top sets or the movements you're trying to fix. Use the right tools. Use an app that allows for video delay. This lets you complete a set, walk over to your phone, and see the replay instantly without touching the screen. Keep your tracking binary at first. Did I record today? Yes or no. That's enough. Once the habit is stable, you can add layers and ignore the looks. Remember, you're a scientist collecting data, not an influencer chasing clout. You might still think recording is uncomfortable. You might think it's extra work, but so is improvement. When you record, you stop guessing. You stop lying to yourself. You stop relying on fuzzy memories. You start seeing. You start learning. You start changing. You don't become better simply because you record. You record, and because of that, you see who you actually are. And that's where change begins. So here's my challenge. Don't commit to a year. Just record your main lifts for the next 14 days. Not for content, not for likes, for clarity. Because the version of you that guesses will always lose to the version of you that sees. I'll see you in the gym.